Hi there. If you saw my Twitter yesterday, you might have seen that I pulled in a quadruple feature at the movie theater yesterday. I was there from about 10 in the morning to probably 10:30 at night, marathoning four new movies in a row. I think it probably breaks my record for seeing the most movies at the theater in a single day. I know I've done plenty of double features. Triple, maybe. Like when I was in high school, I probably could have seen me and my friends doing something like that, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I know I've never done four. I do know that. At home, sure, yeah, plenty of times, but not in the theater, no, not really. Main reason for doing it, it was the Christmas releases, and as we've said before, the biggest problem with doing midnight screenings of movies that come out during the big holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, is that it's hard to get all of us together for a night to see all of these movies. In the case of Sarah and Dave, they're out of town. Jake's got work. Brian was sick, so I mean he couldn't. He just got better the other day when we did the worst movies of the year list. So it was just easier for me to go see them myself and shoot for solo reviews on them. That way I can space them out over the days that I'm going to be gone at MagFest. I'll have these up all while I'll be gone, and then I'll be back doing my usual snob stuff. And another thing too is that by the time that me and the group could get together, there'd be a whole new set of movies out that we would have to go see. I think what the hell even does come out? I don't know. It's fucking January. Who fucking cares? I know at some point Frankenstein comes out and whatever. It's fucking January. So I got to the movie theater, and the first thing that I needed was coffee. So I went to since they don't have a breakfast menu at the AMC movie theater here in town. So I go up to concessions. I'm tired. Like I've really only been up for like a half hour. Honestly, I was planning on I saw all these movies on Sunday. I was gonna do it Saturday, but we were up late shooting that worst movies of the year video with Dave and Brian. We had to wait until Dave got off work. We probably didn't start shooting the video until 11 o'clock at night. I think we shot for like 3 hours on that thing, and we took a break between entries 6 and 5, so by the time that I got everything shot and went to sleep, I was pretty tired and not up to waking up earlier to go see 4 movies. And anyway, so I ended up doing it on Sunday instead of Saturday. So I get there, I order a coffee, and I waited for about, there was like nobody else. Well, yeah, there was a few other people there, but I waited for about 10 minutes because they hadn't turned their coffee machine on yet, because who knows how many people fucking buy coffee there at the movie theater. You'd think of all times a day that you would order coffee at a movie theater, it'd be in the morning. I did notice this when I went there. I should start going to see more movies in the morning. Tickets are way cheaper. They're like 75% cheaper as long as you go see it in the morning. Holy crap. It was like paying like for a nighttime price in like 1991 cheap theater ticket. So I got my coffee ordered, I sat down, it's scalding hot, like I had to wait until like halfway into the movie before I could even start drinking it. And then I learned that if you want to order something at a movie theater that'll make you shit way more than just eating a big thing of popcorn, it's the coffee. Oh my god. Of course I say that while holding a friggin' McCafe. But these are really good, quite honestly. But they're carrying me through talking about 4 movies. So, anyway, the first movie I go see is Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I didn't really, in terms of the movies themselves, I didn't really have a rhyme or a reason in picking the order that I went to go see it in, other than that movie had the earliest screen time, and whatever I would go see next, it would be whatever the soonest showtime was. That was really just how it worked out. Honestly, I was glad that the first one was Walter Mitty. One, it was one that I wanted to see, and in terms of everything else that I saw that day, it was I don't know. It was the one that would be easiest to sit through that early in the morning, I guess. I mean, well, early for me anyway. So I was glad that one was first. And when I sat down to watch it, this is a movie that I was really looking forward to. It looked like it's Ben Stiller back to doing the kind of Ben Stiller that I like, the kind of Ben Stiller where he actually has his heart in the project, something that he wants to do and not something that he's doing because, well, let's do the paycheck movie and then I can do something that I want to do. I like that Ben Stiller. I like movies like Greenberg, Reality Bites, Tropic Thunder, Permanent Midnight, and stuff like that. Those movies, black and white, those movies I thoroughly enjoy. I do think that as an actor, I think he has chops, and as a filmmaker, he really does. He really is a genuinely good director. His movies are rather beautifully shot, and so is Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And then I before going into it, I kind of heard some pretty bad things about it, which made me kind of sad because I was like, well, hell, here he is back to doing one that's ambitious, that looks like it has some heart behind it, and it's getting reviews that are really no better than a Night at the Museum movie or a fucking Fockers movie. Well, maybe a little better than Little Fockers or something like that. Anyway, I sat down and watched it. Honestly, I loved every goddamn minute of this fucking movie. For the first bit of it, I was really sitting there like this. Honestly, this is pretty much what I had hoped it would be, judging from the trailers. There wasn't anything about it that was like, well, hell, the trailers were really fucking misleading. This movie's a piece of shit. There was really nothing like that, and through the first half of it, I was kind of wondering, why is this getting shit upon so much? Because I'm really, really loving the shit out of this movie. I was sort of thinking, is it because maybe some people got tired of, the dream sequences and stuff like that? But honestly, the daydream parts of the movie happens maybe 5 or 6 times in it, with the exception of 1 or 2. Really, you see most of them in the trailer, except for maybe 1 off the top of my head. There's one that you really don't see in the trailer that I can remember anyway, and it doesn't do anything where at the end of it, oh, it turns out the whole thing was a daydream. It doesn't do anything really cheap like that, or really gimmicky. It doesn't really try throwing any fake twists. Honestly what it is that I really identified with this movie. I totally did, with the Walter Mitty character. I completely understood this guy. I totally have this guy's back, because I daydream like crazy. I do. I will be in the middle of a conversation. My mind will wander. I'll stare off. I will freeze in place. I'm ADD as shit. Really bad. I have been years and years. And I've kind of just learned to live with it. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. It throws some people off sometimes when I'm having a conversation with them and my eyes are wandering all over the goddamn place. But, to me, it doesn't feel like my eyes are wandering all over the place, because with my peripheral vision, I'm still looking at the person. I'm just, the pupils of my eyes are just fixated on other things. But anyway, so, yeah, I am that guy who, when I had a job in an office, I would be standing there and my mind would wander to really fantastical instances, bizarre shit, like in this movie, diving through a window and saving a dog before it blows up, or suddenly I'm Benjamin Button, or you daydream about this girl that you kind of have a crush on, and you become a superhero, stuff like that. entirely me, quite honest. I really do that quite a bit. Although, I mean, I don't really I don't really consider my life to be necessarily boring, like the Walter Mitty character. I mean, while I am that big of a daydreamer, to be perfectly honest, I don't. Thanks to the website and crazy emails that I get and the movies that I do and stuff like that, I don't consider my life to be boring. Although me myself, I can be a very, very boring person. I will say that. And if you don't like my material, you don't like my site, you don't like my vlogs, I'm just preaching to the choir if I say that I'm a boring person. So anyway, that I totally got that from this movie, and even like little things too, like if you ever want to get your arm broken, and this is a pet peeve of mine, like crazy, if you ever want to get your arm just broken off, do this in front of my face whenever I'm staring off in the... Ever since for as long as I can remember, I just stare off. I just stare off. I go to my own places in my head, and some jackass will come up to me and just start doing this in front of my goddamn face. Fuck off with that. I mean, I don't literally break their arm, but I instantly go to another place in my head, and that place I'm going to in my head involves me breaking that goddamn person's arm, because fuck me, I hate that. I'm comfortable with how I am. I am comfortable with the fact that my eyes wander all over the goddamn place. It's hard for me to pay attention to stuff. It's hard for me to listen to a long story. I daydream like shit. I'm used to that. I'm 32 years old. I've lived with it for a lot of goddamn years. It's not a big thing for me, really, and just don't fuck with me. So, that part of it I completely identified with, and also, while I don't necessarily consider my life to be really that boring, because my god, I've got some stories, fuck me, I don't really go anywhere, and yeah, my fear of flying really plays a part in that. Like, it's bad, it's very, very bad. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to explain to people just how bad it is, because, I mean, it is... When you have a fear, an irrational fear like that, it's hard explaining that to a person who doesn't have it. It's sort of like when Dave or Jake or somebody talks to me about their fear of spiders. I'm not afraid of spiders at all. Spiders don't bother me. So, you know, I don't have that fear. So it's hard for me to imagine that, really, because in my head I'm like, well, they're this big. Step on them. I'm sure you could outrun them. They're not going to fly after you. They're not going to chase you. I mean, some of like the really freaky ones might. The ones that catch like doves and their webs made of sheet metal. Yeah, sure. Okay, I wouldn't want to fuck with that. But anyway, so you know, people say to me all the time, like, just take some pills, take some whatever, take some Dramamine or whatever the fuck they tell me to take to get on a goddamn fucking plane. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Believe me, I've tried that. I do. I've tried everything from that to booze. It doesn't fucking work on me. Like, it's that bad. So because of that, I don't travel that. Well, I do travel, but I travel by train. I've never traveled outside of the country. I've never been anywhere outside of the United States. I've been invited to cons before that I couldn't go to because of, one, I don't have a passport, two, and two, because of flying. It's hard. It's a nightmare. It's a living nightmare for me. This movie, though, if there was anything in the world that ever made me want to get over that, want to just stop, even though it's hard. You can easily say, wow, I should really stop that, but you can't. I mean, if I really could just stop, I would have done that like 20 years ago. But this movie, though, when you finally see him get the big kick in the nuts and he actually runs and goes on his quest to find... He works at Life magazine. Life magazine is closing. The job that he has is he's a negative developer, so when when a very prominent photographer that Sean Penn plays in the movie sends him a bunch of film slides, there's one particular one that he needs, and it's slide 25, and that's the one that's being considered to be the cover for the last issue of Life magazine. Well, it looks like that particular slide has been misplaced, so the movie is a combination of, one, he's going to find this, but he's also doing that just to do something with his life, to actually make his life have some sort of meaning or give himself some kind of experience, because while this is going on, he's in love with the Kristen Wiig character, and he also has this pretty funny relationship with an employee at eHarmony who's played by Patton Oswalt. Up until the end, you only hear his voice on the phone, and he's one of my favorite characters in the movie. So when it kind of hits him that he's really done nothing to speak of, like it's hard for him to even fill out a dating profile because he hasn't done anything, now he finally has an excuse to actually, one, do something that actually is important, that actually does have meaning, and that'll maybe give him like a good kick in the ass to actually talk to this girl. And Kristen Wiig, as much as I've criticized her in the past for Saturday Night Live, she's really good in this movie. Not only that, she is the prettiest I've ever seen her. Which, to be fair, normally she's made up to look like a doll, a creepy doll in a haunted house movie. In this, she is beautiful. Oh my god. Like, stunningly gorgeous in this movie. For me, like, another reason I relate to Walter Mitty, I would so be in love with that person. And the scenes they have together are really charming, or really, really sweet. They're very human and genuine, and not, you know, along came Polly, I've got a crush on this girl, but oops, I just slid my face down this sweaty guy's belly. The trailers for the movie are really kind of playing up, the TV trailers for the movie seem to be really, really playing up a lot of the really heavy Fockers-y, Ben Stiller-y moments in the movie that are kind of doing a really disservice to this flick, because that is not the kind of humor that's in this fucking movie. There's one shot that they keep showing in all of the trailers where it kind of just makes him look like a dumb American, where he's talking to these kids from Iceland and he's trying to speak their language but doing a terrible job, and it sounds like Ben Stiller doing shtick. When you actually see that part of the movie, that's not really what it is. He is genuinely trying to find out where Sean Penn's character is. It isn't something that you would have seen in like Night at the Museum 2 or Meet the Fockers or Along Came Polly or something like that. No, it's and not that Ben Stiller can't play dumb really well, just those movies happen to be really bad. If you want to see a great movie with Ben Stiller playing a dumb guy who speaks questionable English, I still maintain Zoolander's a very funny flick. Gasoline fight while listening to Wham. I mean, come on. So anyway, as I was saying, when he actually gets the kick in the ass to just go off to Greenland, to Iceland, all these places, to see the world, to actually experience life, to get on a plane, to, find the Sean Penn character, and all that, it's the closest I've ever come in my life to being like, God damn it, I should just get on a fucking airplane and go places and experience shit. And maybe not drink as much anymore, or, you know, spend my nights up until the crack of dawn partying with friends, blah blah blah. Like I said, I've got stories. So anyway, so I this movie really, it spoke to me in a weird way. It did. Of all the movies I've seen this year, I probably most identified with the Walter Mitty character from this movie. I absolutely love the shit out of this film. And it's got a really good cast too, other than like Patton Oswalt popping up. Adam Scott is the jerky guy at Life magazine. Shirley MacLaine is in this too. Adam Scott's the jerky guy at Life magazine who's kind of managing the transition between print and the magazine being online. And Adam Scott, he's this comedic actor who's made a career out of basically being the comedy version of Billy Zabka. You know what? He does a good job at it, too. He does. Because, goddammit, he's a fucking dick in this movie. At the same time, he's kind of funny, too, because they do this really funny thing in the movie where the jerky people just have beards for some reason. That was so random. I mean, it made me laugh, too. And a lot of stuff in this flick that would really be kind of ham-fisted in something else, if done poorly, in this totally worked on me. Like, the symbolism between him being kind of a square and working at Life magazine, and how they work the word life into a lot of different sentences. I mean, when you break it down, the subtlety there is about as subtly as the symbolism in Gravity. But I thought Gravity pulled that off well, as heavy-handed as it was. And this movie technically kind of is too, but it still worked on me because here's why. I was emotionally invested in it. I was emotionally invested in everything that happened in Gravity. I thought it was a suspenseful-ass fucking movie. In this one, it very much had to do with the characters. For me, personally, this movie spoke more about life, ambition, dreams, heart, love, the future, all of that stuff, way better than any movie that Terrence Malick has ever done and in his entire fucking career. Because this movie, you know what, is actually goddamn relatable. And I wish that I could honestly form my words a little bit better here. Not that I usually form my words very well in these videos. But the problem with seeing about 4 movies in a row like that, this being the first one, is that, okay, while I did have fun yesterday, to be perfectly honest, I mean, here I am talking about, like, wow, this movie really makes me want to explore the world, see different things. And don't worry, if I do that, I'm still taking the camera with me. I'm still taking you guys with me, so don't worry about that. All that stuff that it made me think about, like, wow, I should really get on a plane and go places and do things like that. Meet somebody, fall in love, all of this, and here I am seeing, like, and here it is being the first of 4 movies I'm at a theater at that day. I'm in a theater for 12 goddamn hours. But anyway, I wish that I had more time to really process this movie, because whether a movie is good or whether it's bad or horrible, whether I love it or whether I think it's the biggest piece of shit in the world, it is always nice to actually be able to process movies, you know, and what I did yesterday, binge watching 4 movies like that, I wish I could have gotten more of a chance to process this movie more than I could, because an hour later I was seeing something else, and then an hour after that I was seeing something else, and then 20 minutes later I was seeing something else. So I wish that this movie could have really stuck with me in the way that any movie I go see does, because usually when I see a movie in the theater, it's the only movie I'm seeing in the theater that day, like any other normal person. So it would have been nice to really kind of carry how I felt about this movie for longer than an hour before I saw something else. And I really loved this movie. It's honestly, it was one of the better times I had seeing a movie this year. I think that in terms of its reviews, I think that it's an underrated movie. This thing is not that it's getting horribly blasted, but I think it's only in like the 40s on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. This easily should switch places with the goddamn fucking Rotten Tomatoes score from fucking You're Next. I swear to fucking Christ. So that's my thoughts on Walter Mitty. If you saw the trailer for it, really the trailer to me, and it was to me anyway, speaks to the movie. If you saw the trailer and it looked really good to you, I don't think you'll be disappointed, because to me it was very representative of what the movie was. If the trailer did absolutely nothing for you, you might not like it, but I think you might get a little more emotionally invested in it than maybe you would predict. So that's my thoughts on Walter Mitty. I highly recommend the movie. I'm going to take a break right now and come back with the trailers. This was a really, really weird set of trailers, which I kind of predicted because usually when you go see a movie like this, the trailers that you get will be like very, very schizo. Because while this is certainly a movie you could take your family to, the movie's only rated PG. It's also not totally just a kids movie. There is adult content in it, so you have a mixture of trailers that are kids movies with some trailers that aren't. You know what? I'm really glad that this movie is only rated PG because it was the only goddamn movie I went to go see yesterday that didn't have the fucking trailer for fucking Lone Survivor on it. And I guarantee the only reason that is that that movie has an R logo on it, Lone Survivor does, and this movie's only rated PG. So thank fucking God for that I didn't have to see the trailer for Lone Survivor 4 goddamn fucking times in a fucking row. The beginning of the trailer for fucking Lone Survivor should say this. Normally it says this movie's been approved for this feature. The way that they fucking show that trailer, it seems like it should say this should be approved for every fucking movie that comes fucking out at the theater. I'm sorry, I'm really sick to death of the goddamn Lone Survivor trailer. I don't know if they're really, really just trying to play that movie up in the Midwest. I have no goddamn idea. Like, please, out there, tell me if you keep getting the trailer for that fucking movie too, because it isn't just that it's a fucking trailer, it's also a goddamn featurette too, with talking head segments in it. Please tell me if you're constantly bombarded with that fucking trailer too, because to me it is fucking insane that I've seen the trailer for Lone Survivor about 20 goddamn times, but not the trailer for Godzilla once. In none of the movies that I've gone to go see have they showed the trailer for Godzilla in front of it. And I'm there every fucking week at like big blockbuster fucking movies. Godzilla? No. Lone Survivor? Oh yeah, let's fucking market that like it's the next big fucking thing in cinema. But I did get the nut job. I got the nut job, which Jake is really, really, really not looking forward to this movie. Me? I don't think it looks that bad, honestly. I mean, it looks kind of like poor man's Pinky and the Brain are doing a nut heist. It's a squirrel and his dumb, pinky friend mouse, like, fucking doing a heist and stealing a bunch of nuts. Squirrel humor with nuts, I can get behind that. Trust me. Watch Shot on Shitio when it comes out. So and you know what? I also really love. I am totally supportive of anything that Will Arnett does. It could be a piece of shit, but I am all for him getting more work. Because, dear God, this guy deserves all the fucking work in the world. This guy is a combination of hilarious with a voice that will melt butter. Or a tray of club sauce. Either or. His voice can fucking melt through steel doors. Like, I am impressed by the vocal cords on this fucking guy. And god damn it is this man hilarious. So he's the lead in the nut job. So I feel like I kind of should see it just to support more Will Arnett movies. Even though I watched an episode of The Millers to support Will Arnett. And I feel like I've done enough of watching The Millers. But anyway, I also got a weird looking thing called Winter's Tale. I saw 4 movies yesterday, so 4 movies, that means I got about 20 trailers, and most of them were fucking Lone Survivor. Winter's Tale was like Colin Farrell. I couldn't really, is he like immortal? It looked sort of like, let's do Highlander, but let's cut out all the action-y stuff. Let's just leave in the romance parts. And here, Winter's Tale, Colin Farrell. What I remember most about that trailer was, in big gold letters across it, it goes, from Akiva Goldsman. Huge letters that are bigger than the fucking title. So what I was hoping is that it was going to follow up from Akiva Goldsman with the writer of Batman and Robin. More movies written by Akiva Goldsman. Academy Award winner Akiva Goldsman, I should say. Need to say, from the writer of Batman and Robin. Flaunt that shit, man. good or bad, you wrote a legendary film. You wrote a film that will keep getting talked about for years and years to come, more so than the movie that you won the Academy Award for. So I think that more Akiva Goldsman movies should attach from the writer of Batman and Robin from it. So anyway, that I was kind of indifferent about, to be perfectly honest. And after Dead Man Down, I don't trust trailers for Colin Farrell movies anymore. Monuments Men, Ocean's 1941, I got that, which looks fun. Big cast war movie. It's like Kelly's Heroes, but they're like saving like art from the Nazis. I can get behind that. It kind of sucks that they originally that movie was supposed to come out like Oscar season or some shit, and they got delayed for whatever reason, and it comes out January, February, something like that. I feel kind of bad because when that happens to these movies, one, it really seems like they wanted this movie to get up for some Oscars, and two, God damn it, Bill Murray really wants an Oscar. He wants an Oscar bad, and he deserves one. He deserves to eventually get a fucking Oscar. And man, when it was announced that this movie got pushed back to like 2000 to early 2014, Bill Murray's got to be like, "Fuck me! Am I ever gonna get considered for another goddamn fucking Oscar? Is it ever gonna fucking happen? It should. I personally think it should, but god damn it." Okay, Son of God. I got this trailer like twice yesterday for some reason. From my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, from my understanding, this is like cobbled together scenes from that Bible mini-series that was on like the History Channel or something. I don't know, it looks like Buddy Christ the movie, kind of. I mean, it looks like a straightforward Jesus movie that should have been made like maybe 30 years ago, because we really probably should start cutting out Jesus looking like an Orange County surfer dude. Like, you know, some progression of film I'm against, and I find is kind of annoying. Other progression of film, like correct casting, I'm sort of for. This looks like something that'd be like a TV. Well, it is a TV movie, but it looks like something that should have been a TV movie like 30 freaking years ago. I mean, this guy is whiter than my fucking legs. Jesus Christ. And it's got the dumbest. All right, the tagline of this movie. Oh man, is a tagline that you would see in a spoof trailer for a Jesus movie. The tagline of it, and it's the last thing you hear in the trailer, is Jesus' voiceover saying, "I am coming soon." Does this mean that Jesus is returning on the same day that this movie is coming out? Because from the looks of this trailer, I would rather just personally hang out with Jesus than I would go see this movie. Because I don't think Jesus quite looks like the guy who is in this movie. This guy he's an extra from Point Break. Watching this movie, I was reminded of, there was an old friend of mine I haven't seen in years. He used to take movies and get really high off his ass and just dub over them with his own dialogue. And he took a Jesus movie that I think was called, like, literally called the Jesus movie. I think that's literally what it was called. He dubbed over it with his own dialogue, and I used to have a tape of about 10 minutes of it. And it was some of the funniest, just, not even riffing, really. He was just replacing the dialogue. It was some of the quickest and funniest stuff that I've seen. And if you've been watching me long enough, you might have seen some of this, because when I first started out on YouTube, I had a video on there that was about 10 minutes of my friend Ken's dub of the Jesus movie. And I think I just called it like Jesus the Movie or something like that. I mean, it was up on my YouTube page for a little while. Maybe 6 months, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. It was up for a while. And the first time that I got suspended on YouTube was because of that video. Because eventually the people who made Jesus the Movie, or the Jesus Movie, whatever the fuck it was called, found this video and complained, got it taken down, and my account got suspended, and the video's been gone since. I don't think I have that tape anymore. My buddy Ken might still have it. I haven't talked to him in years and years and years and years. But if you remember on YouTube, that video was on there for a little bit. Let me know if you remember seeing that. Hell, let me know if you downloaded it, because I would love that. I would absolutely love to see that again. The comments on it were great. One, the comments thought that I made it. I didn't. I had nothing to do with it. I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. I wasn't even there when it was recorded. I just put it on YouTube. The comments on it were great because it was all very religious people finding this and seeing Jesus give speeches to crowds. And now that I think about it, the way it was dubbed over, it sounded a lot like the speeches from that Jordan Belfort gives in The Wolf of Wall Street. Man, now I really want to find that goddamn video. Alright, well that was Son of God. Rio 2, I didn't see the first one. The second one looked stupid. Peabody and Sherman, I am opposite of Jake here. I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle. Rocky and Bullwinkle, was, the best, serialized cartoon for kids, ever. It coined the whole concept of 24 years before 24, but was hilarious. Not that 24 is not hilarious, but I'm a Rocky and Bullwinkle guy. Bullwinkle, whereas Jake will be like, I don't want to watch the moose, click. I am like, yeah, I want to watch the moose. Give me that fucking remote. I grew up watching Rocky and Bullwinkle. I could still watch Rocky and Bullwinkle. I love that shit. The Peabody and Sherman movie, I wish they did a movie off of that really looked like the chintzy animation from the TV show, like a full-length movie of that. I understand why they didn't, but because it's made for a newer audience, really. But I would like to have seen it in the old animation, but I understand why they didn't do it. Not that I would have even expected them to do it like the old animation. If you had told me that, hey, they're coming out with a Peabody and Sherman movie, what this trailer looks like is exactly what I would have pictured in my head. It doesn't look bad. It looks like it's going to be another movie that Patrick Warburton steals the unholy hell out of. When I first saw the trailer, I was so not sold on Ty Burrell's voice as Mr. Peabody. I didn't think it sounded anything fucking like Mr. Peabody. I don't know if I saw, a trailer for it before maybe his voice was corrected or something. I don't know, but then I kept seeing more trailers for it, and really I think his voice is fine. I don't know why I really thought that the first time I saw a trailer for this, unless, again, like I said, unless maybe they did some post work on his voice, but watching it now, he sounds fine. Ty Burrell sounds perfectly fine to do the voice of Mr. Peabody. Well, my final thoughts on Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I think it's getting unfairly savaged by critics. Admittedly, I did have a very personal connection to this movie for how much I really identified with this fucking character, as much as, I was like, oh my god, I do all of this shit. It's a movie that I would watch it again. I would absolutely watch it again. I highly recommend this movie. I would highly recommend paying full price to go see it. There were some things that would happen in the movie where I'd be like, oh, I hope it doesn't go in this direction, but then it wouldn't. For instance, when you first see his sister in the movie, it looks like she might be kind of a harpy, sort of like one of Adam Sandler's sisters from Punch Drunk Love. And I love Punch Drunk Love, I absolutely do, but I didn't really want that in this movie. And it doesn't do that. His sister's kind of bitchy to him at first, but this family really fucking loves each other, and they have each other's backs. It was really, really nice nice seeing that in this flick. And again, also, like, the trailer is really upping all of these awkward Ben Stiller moments, and then when you see it, they're really not that awkward, like, at all. Grant, I don't know how many skateboarders would trade their skateboard for a Stretch Armstrong doll. I mean, I would, but I'm not a skateboarder. But granted, I'm not a skateboarder in Iceland either. I don't know. Maybe a skateboarder in Iceland will gladly trade their skateboard for a Stretch Armstrong doll. I don't know. But I still found that funny. I did. And another thing, too, is this movie, like, in terms of its action sequences, has some of the best CGI in any movie I've seen this year. The Stretch Armstrong fight with Stiller and Adam Scott down the street with the concrete exploding everywhere looked amazing. Like, it was really solid special effects. Ben Stiller is a fantastic director. He is. He organizes his shots fucking beautifully. He really is underrated as a filmmaker. Like, looking at his movies, he's got the chops down like a fucking, like, really, like, this movie is shot almost like a Lost Wes Anderson movie, kind of, and I mean that as a compliment. So, I recommend it. This is the kind of movie that I wish Ben Stiller would keep doing, and not do once every few years, you know, in between, like, a bunch of shit. Because, goddammit, it gets frustrating defending him sometimes. Sucking son of a bitch! Fuck me, it really does. Because anyone always just remembers fucking Along Came Polly and shit like that. Which, that shit makes money. Of course it fucking does. Why the fuck wouldn't it? Jesus Christ, go see this movie. Support this fucking movie. So I was on a high after seeing Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And then I went to see 47 Ronin.